But former finance minister and tax expert Seth Terpker has also been speaking on this controversial Agyapa deal on the Super Morning Show. Now, he says the cost to the nation in having this deal in tax haven is higher compared to paying tax.
We are already under surveillance, and one of the reasons you are under surveillance for AML, is possible transactions, as you just said, going through, possible transactions by your individuals and businesses going through tax havens. Here we are with the sovereign, almost making that situation worse, which may, secondly, the concern is with the tendency to say this item is market sensitive and therefore Parliament, the sovereign representatives of the people, is deprived of information that it needs to make, a decision. And I must say that, yes, we've been in majority in Parliament, but when it came to the investment law, when it came to Article 1815 involving, loans and others, we've always made, and I must say not just the NDC, but under the Kufuor administration that did the first sovereign bond and others, we made absolute disclosures, and I think it is a dangerous trend for us, to be using numbers to deprive Parliament of the final point, which I want to summarize, in saying is that we have tax laws, we have tax treaties, and one of the biggest headaches for every developing country, sometimes as a result of tax capacity, is
yes,
tax evasion and avoidance, which often goes through tax havens.
Great. So quickly, because our time is up. But my final question to you. So we've heard the former president say he will not support the deal if he wins. He says, "I'm going to investigate this." Doesn't that scare investors?
In the long run, no, because we already risk if this leads to Ghana being formally put under AML. And we are going to look at the reason why under AML investors are not coming to Ghana, right? Because they wouldn't come.
Okay.
Higher standards of disclosure and the rest.
So that's excerpt of that conversation with finance expert and former tax expert, I beg your pardon, and former finance minister Seth Terpker on the Super Morning Show earlier. So back to you, Mr. Yeboah. So that's a member of the NDC. The minority has raised concerns. Now your flag bearer says, look, when I come, I'm going to scrap this.
Yes, I agree with my flag bearer, because you see, if you craft a deal such as this and use politically exposed business entities to give a value that when you want to verify will be difficult to do, for purposes of which you want to go for $500 million for a 49% share floating on the London Stock Exchange. For as long as the lives of our minds exist, that is the worry. We ask them, what is the tenor of this agreement? They tell us that as long as the mines exist and pay royalties to government, the deal will remain. For instance, the Ashanti gold mine, the Obuasi gold mine, is over 100 years. So does it mean a deal of this nature can exist on our document for 100 years? It's unacceptable when we can get every year in excess of $200 million. Why would I want to trade that for $500 million upfront for so many years at infinity? It doesn't make any economic sense.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate that you could join the show. Roxanne Nelson Yeboah is an MP and a member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs as well as the Judiciary Committee of Parliament. Well, meanwhile, Executive Director for the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, Mensah Thompson, has called for the Agyapa deal to be cancelled and a thorough discussion made on whether at all it is beneficial to the interest of Ghana. He joins us via Zoom. So in which order do you want it? Cancelled prior to this, before a discussion, or a discussion to determine its benefit before we make up our minds to cancel it?
Good morning. A very good morning to your cherished listeners. First of all, there is absolutely no benefit of this deal to this country. There is absolutely no benefit. I mean, the supposed benefits that have been listed by the promoters of this deal is just to sell a national interest to the public and use that as a cover-up to steal the mineral royalties of this country. I mean, how much is the $750 million that you're going to raise from this deal? I mean, in terms of long-term benefit, how much is that? You know, as compared to the over $200 million that we can get in royalties every year. How about depriving the assemblies in which some of these mining areas operate, who are in dire need of resources to operate and for development, going to be stifled with the limited funds that they get in the form of royalties? What about what is accrued to Nananom, who are the custodians of the land, on whose land these mining companies operate, and who get some of these royalties for pertinent issues affecting the traditional areas? How about stifling these people also of the mineral royalties and the needed resources that they need to operate? And so if you compare all these brazen effects to the supposed benefit that the promoters of this deal are selling to the people of Ghana, it makes absolutely no sense to do so. And we believe that this deal is just for two things. One, this deal, apart from the fact that it is going to be a vehicle to siphon the mineral royalties of this country into private pockets, this, as I say, Agyapa deal is also going to be a vehicle through which monies acquired illegally are going to be washed offshore through legitimate means.
Mr. Thompson, on what basis are you making that allegation?
My sister, let me give you a critical example. Government is going to float the 49% shares of this Agyapa company on the New York Stock Exchange for supposed investors in an offshore country, in an offshore place like Jersey, where a lot of, drug money, illicit business activities, weapon dealers hide their money. Now, these people are always looking for legitimate means to claim their money. And what better way than to dispose these illegally acquired cash through, this vehicle that they've provided as an investment to our country, and in return get legitimate cash, which is our mineral royalties, which can be declared and used for legitimate businesses. And so this vehicle is a huge vehicle for money laundering. It is going to use to wash dirty money and bring in dirty money into our country, especially when we don't even know the people who are fronting this deal and who the supposed 49% is going to be disposed to. And so that is why the claims have been made that it is going to raise the anti-money laundering alert of this country, and it's going to create a huge, international debacle for our image as a country as far as the fight against corruption and money laundering is concerned. And I don't know why anybody in their right senses would promote this particular deal.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Mensah Thompson is Executive Director for ASEPA, and he's also been sharing his views on this controversial Agyapa deal.